Welcome to the Business Legends Podcast, where we interview business leaders and entrepreneurs so that you can learn from their mistakes, grow your own inspiration, and pump up your bottom line. I'm host of the show, Reece, and my co-host isn't here today. He decided to up and leave and go to the beach without me, so kind of bummed out about it. So, if you see Christian anytime soon, make sure to curse him out for me. Today, I am accompanied by a super awesome guy by the name of Scott Herbert, who owns Charlotte Doors and Closets, and they do doors and closets. Scott, good morning. Thanks for joining me today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So what is your story? How did you get into doing doors and closets? Did you get hit by a door? Did somebody like whack you with a door or something? You said, I need to do this for a living, or what happened?
No, actually, this whole business came out of inspiration from my 25th wedding anniversary present to my wife.
Wow, I got you. And, so she decided to just get you a new job, and
pretty much
happy anniversary.
So. Thank you.
Yeah.
But what she had wanted was we've owned a number of homes around the country over the years and remodeled them, but I never got to the bedroom.
Yeah.
And she wanted that closet that I promised her forever, and the 25th wedding anniversary just seemed to be the time to do it. And so we had I did a remodel in the upstairs master, and it parlayed itself into Charlotte Doors and Closets.
There you go. And then it just worked out from there.
It did, yeah.
Yeah. Now, what were you doing before that? Were you doing something that was, what's the word, like crafts or artisan skills, or, woodworking or something?
Yeah, I've never been in the home improvement side in my entire career. By trade, I'm a tool and die maker. I went back to school for engineering and got into operating metal stamping, metal fabrication companies. Just always been very good with my hands.
Sure.
And, after building this closet for my wife and a number of people having said, maybe this is what you should do for a living, it seemed like a foreign concept to me. I didn't think there was actually a business to be had in closets, and I didn't really give it much thought. But as I started, after hearing it a number of times, I did a little research on it and seen there's a whole industry out there that I didn't know existed. And
just specializes in this.
Yeah. And then we actually dumb lucked into the door side.
Yeah.
We were the first ones that joined the one-day group when they went national. It's a very specialized process, technology-driven, for being able to take a 2, 3, 4 week long project of replacing all the interior doors in the home to condensing that down to being able to install them in a day.
Wow.
And as I was...
That's ridiculous.
It is. It's simply amazing. And
Yeah.
as I was doing some research for some issues I had from the closets,
Sure.
I come across their ad. They had just... You're speaking to the luckiest man you've ever known in your life, all right? And I say that in all honesty, in that... When I found this ad, they had just gone live with this ad 20 minutes prior to my getting there.
Wow. Right then.
Right.
Yeah.
As I'm on page Google, 23 page Google, which Google's that far.
Yeah.
I had just stumbled across it, and it spoke to me as soon as I seen it, and we were in California a week later signing the contract.
And it just worked out.
Yeah.
How did you, from the business development side, you said that you were in engineering and you made dies, you said? Dies and metal?
Tool and die makers. We make dies that will make different metal parts, widgets. And I know the listeners really can't see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The metal components, a die is what stamps, forms, creates, puts the holes, does the forming of the metal.
Gotcha. Okay. It's really interesting how you get from there to there. Now, did you work? I imagine you worked for other companies at the time before you started Charlotte Doors and Closets, right?
Of course. Of course. Yes.
So what was your process of entrepreneurship like? I mean, you had this skill, and let's kind of backtrack a little bit from there. How did you learn how to do this stuff? Is it something you taught yourself, or?
Well, again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I've owned a number of homes around the country, and I enjoy doing projects around a home.
Yeah.
Right? So a company like me could never sell to a person like me because I don't.
Yeah, you're like the penultimate do-it-yourselfer type
exactly.
thing. Yep.
And just over the years of having done a number of different projects on all the homes that I've owned and helping friends, of course, once you have skills like that, your friends want you to help them,
of course,
all the time.
Yeah,
and it it naturally evolved by that. And then once I realized there was an actual business to be had by using those skills I just acquired through having fun over the years.
Yeah, and doing what you like.
Yeah, that it just became a natural fit.
Yeah, it just kind of the glove fit, so to speak. When you decided to incorporate or get your LLC, how many projects do you think you had done over the years between your homes and friends' homes and doing around the house types of projects like that?
Over hundreds.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's not like it was a brand new thing for you. And
not at all.
You had like learned this process over the course of many years.
And so for those that are old enough to remember Tool Time, Tim the Tool Man Taylor, and exactly, I'm that guy that owns every tool ever known to man.
Yeah.
Always have.
Yeah.
So when we started this business, a big chunk of what a business needs is the equipment
tools.
the tools to
and you already had them.
And I already had them.
Yeah,
so
who cares?
So I had some leg up, so to speak, with already having all the equipment needed to do the work that we'd be expected to do.
Yeah, that's tremendous. It's amazing how, you just said you're the luckiest man alive, and I'm starting to believe you, because it's like you really fell into something that A, you love doing, and B, you were uniquely suited to do, because from a startup cost perspective, if somebody wanted to do what you do, they could easily spend $100,000 just getting all the right equipment in place, and then I guess you had spent that over the course of the last 30 years or something.
Exactly right. It was years of, I needed a
Collecting.
tool that I needed one time. I went and bought a tool that I used one time and it sat in the garage.
Yeah.
Now I use it all the time.
Do you have like a shrine to Tim Allen in your garage somewhere? Like some type of you press a button and you just hear needs more power. My family and I, we love Tool Time, and my family and I, we actually went and saw Tim Allen in his stand up in Biloxi, and we just all love him to death. And you just mentioned that, and I have all these Tool Time memories and stuff. And so now my next door neighbor is kind of like you, where he has more tools than any one human being ever should, and he'll come over and he'll be like, hey, where's your wire cutter? I'm like, oh, I don't have one. He'll be like, hang on. And he's like, here, I had 6 of these. I said, why do you have 6 of these? He's like, why don't you have one? That's how our conversations go. I'm like, well, man has a point, So it's interesting how that type of stuff works. But I'll tell you, if you want to be popular with your neighbors, help them out with some of their home projects and stuff.
Right.
Yes. My neighbor, Kevin might be listening to this, and he is the best neighbor a guy could ask for, because I'm not like you. I'm not a handsy or craftsy person like that. And there's the things that I don't know how to do far outnumber the things that I do know how to do. And whenever I have a question, I'll just call Kevin up and I'm like, hey, Kevin, take a look at this for me. He'll go, oh, I'll be right over, And that's the way that it goes. But it's kind of interesting how things work out. So back to entrepreneurship, you have these skills, you've gained these skills, you have the tools, so you know that your startup cost is not going to be what it could be, so to speak. The next step then is, you're looking into it, you're researching it, you find this company, the one-day turnaround door thing, and then what's your next step? So from a business perspective, how do you make decisions on things like what you're going to charge, or what softwares you're going to use, or how you're going to collect payment? Like, what was your process from the business and boring side of things?
Well, everything that you had just mentioned, those are all natural things that we had to think about when we first started. But when you're first starting, prior or more important than any of those is how are you going to acquire customers?
Yeah, absolutely.
What and how are you going to find that person that needs your services that you're promoting? And so the first things that we did, and when I say we, this is a family business. Both my wife and I started this. First things that we did were start looking at different publications, different means of taking our name, getting our name out to the general public so that they see our name and associate us with certain products that we're offering. And so we had started off by choosing a couple of home magazines to put ads in.
And they were local, I imagine?
Well, they're national publications that serve local regions.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, doing Google, doing Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, things like that. And, all those things that you had mentioned to start with don't matter until you have a customer.
Yeah, until you have your
right?
first customer in place, type of thing.
Until you have some customers.
Yeah.
And so we, you start with draining your savings account. That's what you do when you're starting a business, unless you're
taking an SBA loan. I mean,
right.
those are your options pretty much.
And so we did just that. We started draining our savings account by, throwing ads out there and into different publications and different medias to generate those opportunities with homeowners.
Yeah. Now, did you? I often talk about this. One of the most overlooked resources that you have, and especially as a startup, is your time. And one of the things that I've talked about in other episodes, for example, we had Carol White with Payroll Plus. She was like our 12th guest or something. Awesome lady. But we were talking about a startup might not want to pay that cost of payroll, and yet if I did payroll, the world's worst payroll person, it would take me 20 hours to do what takes Carol 10 minutes because I'm terrible at it. I know I'm terrible at it. I'm not a payroll person, right? So what was your time expenditure like? Did you make any efforts to network in your area or join any groups or anything? Like, what was the first going back to the startup?
So time was very precious when we started. And when I say when we started, I'm gonna give you a context of start as the first 3 years in business.
Sure.
So the first 3 years in business, I kept my regular day job.
Oh, wow.
And I ran a manufacturing operation. And so when you're running a manufacturing operation, it's not uncommon to work 60, 70 hours a week.
Wow.
But yet you're still trying to start a business.
Yeah.
And so my life, literally for the first 3 years of starting this business, was up at 5:30, get to work till 5:30, 6 o'clock, go on a sales call.
Wow.
And the first few years are very difficult in that you don't have employees. You're doing mostly everything yourself. You have a helper because a lot of this stuff you just can't do by yourself because of the bulkiness of the materials.
Yeah.
But it was get some work, then it was install the work. And when you're installing the work, you can't find new customers because you're having to support the customers that you've already acquired. And so it was take 2 steps forward, take 2 steps back, couple steps forward, couple steps back.
Yeah,
continuously
kind of learn where you're at with
that.
It. Sure. Yeah. It's really interesting. We, my business partner Christian and I, we talk about the difference between working in your business and on your business a lot. And I get caught, unfortunately, and especially this week for a lot of different reasons. I get caught working in the business a lot and doing a lot of the nature of work type activities and things that are repeatable that, I could teach somebody else to do type of thing, but also things that, I need to know how to do at the same time. And it's interesting, we have a great set of employees. They work very hard, and sometimes things happen and, you fall behind just like every other business has different issues and struggles and things like that. But the thing that's really that I like is that when you get somebody that specializes in one thing, and so for you, I could see you perhaps having like a door guy or a closet guy, or or this person does this type of built-in, or this person does this type of measurement type of thing. And when they specialize on that one little thing, or maybe it seems little, but that can blossom into a whole piece of your business, and they get really good at it too. How much? So, are you still doing everything by yourself virtually, or do you have helpers, or how does it work?
So, fortunately, we've grown to the point to where I do very few installs now.
Yeah, right.
We've grown to the point to where now I'm doing sales calls, and sales calls are not in a home one time and you're done. They're,
continual.
A couple different visits for every customer.
Yeah.
For different reasons. And we've been blessed in that we've partnered up with some really skilled and talented individuals. And then, of course, my son joined us when he graduated college. And now he's been
that helps too.
It does. And he's been with us for 4 years now and has just turned into, I would like to say, a chip off the old block.
Oh, yeah. Chip off the old dad, right?
Yeah. And and our customers love him. And I think the thing I'm most proud of anything that we've done to this point is that 6 years in this business, we've never had one customer give us a negative review.
That's tremendous.
It's straight 5-star reviews from all of our customers out there.
Yeah.
And if I was to be, again, proudest of any one thing that we've accomplished in this business, that would be it. And that our focus is always on the customer and making sure that they're happy with what we've done.
Yeah, it's a scary climate out there. We've had several customers where they'll have I can think of an attorney that we work with, for example, and he ends up getting a negative review over something that he had no control over, type of thing. And I'm sure you've heard this horror story a million times over, but it's a really sad and scary climate that we're in, where somebody can take away from somebody's reputation without, maybe without doing business with them, or without getting a full story, or that type of thing.
Well, if you notice when I said 5-star rating from all of our
customers, yeah.
All right, we've had 2 negative reviews from non-customers.
Yeah, maybe competitors or something.
No, you never know, right? Because when you don't get a chance to meet them. But, some people just think product should cost X when it costs Y.
Yeah,
and when you won't get down to X, they get mad.
Yeah.
And they'll ding you for it.
Yeah.
And that's happened twice.
That's such an interesting thing. Like, we've experienced something very similar to that, and, I've never believed, my background, I used to buy and sell classic cars, right? And there's this saying in the car industry. It's like, you can have a cheap car, you can have a fast car, and you can have a car that looks good. Well, you get to pick 2, only 2. So if you got a cheap car and a fast car, it ain't going to look good. You got a fast car that looks good, it ain't going to be cheap, And if you have what was the third, a cheap car that looks good, it ain't going to run good, So it's like, it's really interesting from a societal standpoint, from a we think about our economy, and it's really interesting that people get mad when people want to walk away from business transactions. Like I'll walk away from a business transaction just because I don't like the other person on the other line. I've done it many times, and I don't think I'm that hard to get along with either. But sometimes there's just incompatibilities there, and I don't know why people get mad about those things. It's part of life, So looking back, when you start this business, you decide you're all in, feet forward, launching this business. Looking back, is there anything that, say, like, you wish you would have known, and not specific work stuff? So it's like, this closet looks better, or this door looks better than that, or something. But is there anything that you wish that you would have known 6 years ago about owning your own business, about any of the journey that you've taken? Is there anything that maybe you could, maybe there's somebody that wants to start a closet and doors business in California, so it's not a competitor of yours, but let's say they want to start one within the month. And what do you wish you would have known if you were in that circumstance?
Having a solid business plan to start with, and being properly capitalized. We didn't start off with a great business plan, and we were undercapitalized. Yeah, which was the primary reason why I had to continue working. Yeah, sure. One job while we built the brand of another business. When you're so stretched, when you get so stretched from your bandwidth of time, that you make mistakes you wouldn't normally make, because your lack of detail due to your lack of time. Right. Sure. And so I think if I were to have, if we went back 6 years and we were to start this over again, I probably would have taken a business loan out to start this business. Yeah. And done it a little bit differently, because we got there debt free. But
you definitely paid your time in dividends, though. Yeah,
and it took that much longer for the business to get to where it is now. Yeah, because I could only devote so much time to it.
It wasn't your primary focus for the first while. So it's really interesting. I hear that exact thing a lot on this show. I hear if you make the decision to go for something, just go for it. And I think it's really scary, and especially for upcoming entrepreneurs. I mean, 6 years ago, you would have no idea that you'd have the success that you have today with that either. The future is always an unknown and not a certainty. But by the same token, it's like, you know, you don't want to be in debt. There's always that like impending bear on your shoulder. But it's also like, if you have a good, solid business plan, I believe in hedging your bets, you know? And so it's like, if you have a good plan and you look at the statistics, you do the analysis, maybe you talk to a business coach, you think about all the different types of things. And once you make that decision, say, hey, this can work, you work it, you know, you go all in with stuff. Our company was birthed in much the same way. I owned two nutrition stores at the time, and my business partner was doing sales for a drone company. And we kind of worked in the 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. type of capacity for the first year that we were open as well. And while I don't regret that, it's interesting because as I look back, there's certain things that I would have liked to have done differently, for sure, you know. And it's always interesting to hear what people think about that type of thing. So what do you think about? I love to talk about technology and innovation too. What do you think that you see? You know, you have this great opportunity at your hands where you can basically flip around stuff that should take a month and a day or whatever. What do you think the technology is going to convert to over the next couple of years? Do you think processes like that are going to be more common, and maybe different materials with the stuff that you work with? Where do you see that going?
Well, I would think so. You know, as technology evolves, you know, what sets us apart from virtually anybody. You know, there is literally no one that does or can do what we do. Yeah. Right? When I say a 2, 3, 4 week project condensed down to a number of hours, that's exactly what it is. I come into a home with what I call my $30,000 digital measuring toy, and I digitize all these door openings, which creates digital maps of those door openings, which then in turn creates a tool cutting path for a CNC. So whatever imperfections are in that door opening, and give me the oldest home that's out there that's had all the settling that goes on with a
weird
home,
shapes and lines and stuff.
Give me the wonkiest opening there is. We're going to put a door in there that fits perfect, and it's only going to take a few minutes to put that door in.
Wow.
That is the use of technology that no one else can do. And the whole evolution of that technology is in itself a very interesting story. The folks in the One Day brand out in California, they did doors the old-fashioned way, and they had a fairly decent business doing that. And the father, it's a father and 2 sons, the father was having his countertops changed out, and they come in with this measuring device and started measuring out his countertops, and him being he's an engineer as well, looking at this.
Yeah, his brain starts
and he's
to spin.
looking at how somebody's doing what they're doing with the countertops and thinking, boy, you know, we could do that with doors. And so he started asking a guy doing the measurements a bunch of questions, and he could only answer so much. So he got all the information off the machine that was being used and got in contact with the manufacturer.
Next thing you know.
And they spent years developing it to be applicable to doors, and the rest is history for them. So it's a gentleman who, you know, sees something and doesn't just ignore it, and he's curious as to what it does and how could that benefit him. And now they've taken that process, refined that process, and went national with that process. And we're kind of a beneficiary of that initial countertop push. Being done, right?
It's so interesting. You look back and you see, you know, people are continually bouncing ideas off of each other, and yet whenever you find a new innovation of sorts, it always seems like there's a story like that. It always seems like somebody was curious and they just asked the right questions, and not only were they curious, but they followed that curiosity into then what becomes a whole new business model. The same could be said of you when you were creating yourself or your wife or however you want to call it, your 25-year anniversary gift, which is, you know, you're building this thing, you're enjoying doing it, and then you follow a curiosity. You know, you say, hey, this might be a business type of thing, and then you follow it, you explore it, and God knows there's a bunch of ideas that get shot down the toilet or whatever, but a lot of times you end up finding something that you can really like, you know. So it's really interesting how things come to be, I guess you could say. But anyway, well, that pretty much wraps up our time today, Scott. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I always like to sign off with a funny question, and then we'll give you a shout out as well. So my funny question is, now that you've been doing what you've been doing for a couple of years, do you find yourself like looking at doors and closets and be like, that one's off an inch, or do you look at them and you see where they're messed up and stuff?
No, when we're watching television shows, we'll say, well, that's a Savannah. Hey, look at, they got Savannah doors on there.
Oh, really?
We
That's
got
funny.
Cape Cod doors on there.
Yeah.
Or, we'll see a movie star's closet and go,
Yeah.
I could do that.
Oh, really? Yeah, or I could do a better job with that,
In some instances.
Yeah, you're always critical of like the stuff that you do for a living or whatever. We have a guy that does countertops and stuff, and it's kind of a similar story in the sense that it was like a passion project for him. Like he started off just enjoying doing like the home maintenance, remodeling, stuff like that. And long story short, like whenever he goes into a kitchen or whatever, he tries his hardest not to stare down the countertops, but then as soon as he sees it, it's like and he'll start like manually, his eyes will pop and he'll just start manually. He's kind of a crazy person too, but he'll start like manually thinking about things, and he'll get to it. But anyway, so Scott, let's say somebody needs a door or a closet. How do they get a hold of you?
OneDayCharlotte.com is our website. You get to see everything that we do. There's a gallery of work that we've already done as well, or you can always give us a call at 704-771-6249. We'd be happy to help you out.
Very good. Scott, thank you for joining me today. I want to give the best videographer in the face of the earth, David Woodruff, a shout out because I forgot to at the beginning of the show, like I always do. Just like loop it into the front or something. I get David to cut all kinds of funny videos of me. But David Woodruff is with Genesis Film TV. Make sure to show him some love when you see it. And Scott, thank you so much for joining me today.
Again, thank you for having me.